Funk Revolution now. Hope you all are doing well. Look how bad it's raining outside right now. Do you see that rain? Well, that's the conditions I'm reviewing the new Sweet Trip album in. Sweet Trip, the legendary frickin' band. It seems like everyone loves Sweet Trip. I feel like this is a good album to listen to cuddling in bed while it's raining out. I guess all of Sweet Trip's discography is good to listen in those conditions. Everyone on like the nerdy internet circles who closely follows cool, unique, underground music frickin' seems to worship Sweet Trip, and for pretty clear reasons. If you're into shoegaze, well, they got some great shoegaze stuff going on, some wonderful dream poppy, shoegazy, intricate, dense guitar textures that blends together with electronics, both with like the synths they'll incorporate that are also pretty hazy and fuzzy and shoegazy. It fits very nicely, along with freaking IDM and all sorts of glitchy electronics that's actually also very well done too. You don't see that blended together too often, and then of course Sweet Trip comes along and they do a fucking great job at it. And then they also have these like just awesome melodies and all sorts of just freaking indie pop bangers along with it. They've got a great discography, and then now you have their newest one here. It's got a long title, I don't even feel like saying it. They haven't released an album since 2009, so here we are over a decade later. Their fourth album, their first three are freaking fantastic. And now, a decade later, they're releasing number 4, and that makes me a little nervous, because their discography is pretty much impeccable, and now they're coming with a new one, and it's like, do they still have it in them to release another good album? What if this album is so-so? Then they kind of ruined their flawless discography with this so-so album. What if it's just trying to recreate the magic of their first 3 albums and they fail at doing it? It's a lot at stakes, folks. But it's also exciting because Sweet Trip is great and they're releasing a new album, so mixed feelings going into it, but we're gonna go into it with an open mind. Let's take a look at the album cover. This album cover is getting a lot of hate on the internet. People, for whatever reason, think it's like hideous and just so stupid and just not good enough of an album cover for the amazing Sweet Trip. But honestly, like, I don't think it's that bad of a cover. I think it's perfectly fine. It's kind of cute. They got this cool big chair in there, which is sort of like an iconic chair that's been in a lot of album covers, and even Vox did a little video on it or whatever. I don't know. I don't hate this album cover, but I will say I do find it entertaining how much people are getting upset over this album cover, because it's really not a big deal. Really freaking raining and thundering. I hope that's not annoying. I think it adds a nice little atmosphere to the review though. But anyways, so musically, this is undeniably a Sweet Trip record. Why? Because they are blending together these just amazing things that like only Sweet Trip is capable of doing so well. Dream pop, shoegaze, lush, gorgeous melodies and textures together with this sort of like, you know, electronic drum machine percussion that sometimes gets a little glitchy. It's a uniquely Sweet Trip thing. It's great to see that they're kind of, you know, sticking to what they know they're good at and what they did fantastically in their first 3 albums and what they're still capable of doing in this album. But I actually do like this album a lot because it doesn't sound like they're just trying to regurgitate what they created in their first 3 albums. This album to me sounds particularly relaxed, particularly like engaged in trying to create a beautiful atmosphere more than anything. Like in their previous albums, there were definitely songs that like really kind of dove in to just making like indie pop bangers, like really catchy melodies, lots of fun energy, just like songs you can sing along to and dance to. In their newest one here, there's not going to be really any songs you want to dance along to. This feels more like Sweet Trip is like caressing you and they're cuddling you and kind of like singing like a lullaby to you. It's really gorgeous. It actually reminds me a lot of Slow Dive. Like I'm getting a lot of Slow Dive in this album, except like the psychedelic elements kind of make it feel maybe like a California Slow Dive, like Slow Dive at the beach. And even some of these like psychedelic guitar tones and keys kind of remind me actually a bit of like Tame Impala for some reason. Some people might be a little disappointed that they've gone in a more like slower and relaxed and like lush kind of direction, and if you're into like the more like catchy indie pop stuff, you probably will prefer their previous albums. But for me personally, like I think this is just so freaking great. Like it's like I feel like Sweet Trip is like the perfect band to put on while you're like chilling out with your girlfriend in bed or whatever, or at least while you're fantasizing that you're doing that. And I think this album is actually the best of their discography for doing specifically that. Like I love this song Come Spend the Night. I think that song, it's, you know, a relatively simple song on this album compared to some of the more ambitious and extravagant songs, but Come Spend the Night, that melody is just like, it literally sounds like a freaking it's a freaking lullaby. Like, they're singing to you, like swaying you as you fall asleep and giving you a little kiss on the forehead. It's just like, it's just such a beautiful thing that they're doing, and they kind of just do that throughout the entire record with a gorgeous acoustic guitar, very gentle singing. I love both the vocalists together, just sound so beautiful. And what they do so well too is not only do they have these fantastic melodies with this fantastic atmosphere that's so unique with the shoegazy, dream poppy, and then the kind of electro percussion. It's kind of a weird thing. They actually like kind of take these songs and make them kind of long actually, and a lot of these songs have like wonderful build-ups that grow and grow and grow, and sometimes actually climax too, in actually a way that reminds me a decent amount of both slowcore and post-rock, which is, I'm definitely getting more of that post-rock influence on this album than anything else I've heard from Sweet Trip, which is fucking dope. You'll definitely get that in their song At Last, The Truth That Is Real. The final track on the album is just so fucking awesome, so worth it. This album is almost 70 minutes long, but like, you're gonna want to listen to the whole thing to get to that track. I also love the song E Foolery Mill 5. I think that is just a brilliant melody, and I love the way that song evolves. Honestly, even though this album is 70 minutes long, I gotta give it credit, it's pretty fucking consistent. Like there are some moments I think here that are absolutely excellent, but there's definitely no moments in this album that I'm ever bored or find it like tiring or weak or anything like that. I do think they kind of turned it down a bit with the IDM and glitchiness compared to some of their previous releases, which is totally okay. Like, I think, you know, they still do incorporate it in this album a bit. It's just not as essential as compared to like Velocity, Design, Comfort, but you'll definitely hear like in transitions, like as one song leaves and the other song comes in, you might hear a little bit of like, you know, as they do. It sounds cool. Although there's a lot of influences coming into this album, which is, you know, classic Sweet Trip, I think at the end of the day, what you can really sum up this record as is just like a wholesome, beautiful, gorgeous, like, it's like a big shoegaze hug of comfort and love. I love listening to this from start to finish. I love how it just disperses your anxiety, and I will actually say confidently, I do believe that this album is on par with the rest of the Sweet Trip album. Going even further than that, I think there's going to be a lot of people who actually will say that this is their favorite Sweet Trip album. I think, you know, their albums are different enough that everyone's going to have their own favorite, but I actually think this is on par, and many people will say that this is their best one. There's going to be people who don't like it as much because it's so slow and long. If that's not your jam, maybe you'll find it boring, but for me, I mean, there's just so many melodies and memorable moments throughout this record that I just feel like I'm literally like in a dream, and like I said a million times before, like the freaking Sweet Trip band are both giving me hugs and kisses and rocking me as I gradually fall asleep, and then I wake up 12 hours later feeling the best I've ever felt in my life. The bottom line is I just really enjoy it, so I'm giving this an 8.6 out of 10. Great job, Sweet Trip. You fucking, how did you do it? How are you such a talented band? How are you gonna be freaking coming back with this freaking amazing record? Like, I just did not have very high expectations for this, and they fucking killed it. Congrats to Sweet Trip. Everyone, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps my channel grow fast when everyone does that, and more people will find my videos, so thanks so much. And yeah, go check out Sweet Trip's discography, including this one, because this is just great music. So thanks so much for watching Punk Revolution Now.